Good evening. I'd like to call to order the May 13th, 2009 Planning Commission meeting. I believe everybody has got a revised agenda. In addition to the revised agenda, I also want to make you aware of another item that has been just pulled from the agenda. We just got a letter as we walked in the door. The RV park, the Powers Trailer RV park expansion has been requested to be pulled from the agenda. Does everybody have a copy of that letter? I think everybody received it. Okay. So for the audience's information, that item will be pulled from the agenda. Also for the audience information, the zoning commission meeting is after this meeting, so just kind of make everybody aware that zoning will follow the planning commission meeting. Let the record show that all members are here except Paige Becknell. I have a motion to accept the minutes from the April 8th, 2009 Planning Commission meeting.
Also move. Second.
There was a motion by Buddy, seconded by Bob. Any opposition? Motion carries. This time I'd like to open up the floor for public comment period. Anyone wishing to make any comment, any item not on the agenda, please come forward and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Nobody wishing to make any comments. Public comment period is closed. I'd like to, at this time, just recognize Ricky Compton. I think he has an introduction for us. If you wouldn't mind, Ricky.
Thanks, Alan. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Brian Martinez. The administration at our last budget cycle allowed me to add room in my budget to hire another planner. And Brian comes to us from the Florida Panhandle. He's been working in Walton County in Destin, Florida, but he's a Louisiana native. And he wanted to come home, and I just saw this as a great opportunity to grab a guy with a lot of planning experience. He knows what doing a comprehensive plan is all about, and that's what he's going to be for us. He's going to be basically a right-hand man for me to work our way through the master plan, which I also am proud to announce that we have gotten approval through the council for our selection of Winston Associates. I have an agreed scope of work from Winston Associates, and at Thursday's council meeting, we'll be signing the contract to begin work on the master plan. So we are moving forward at a much more rapid pace than we were a year ago.
Yeah, and that's great news. I welcome Brian also to the parish and looking forward to working with you. Anything we can do, please feel free to call on us. And I'd like to echo the master plan approval. It's going to be a good thing for the parish, and we're all looking forward to working with the staff and making that plan one of the best things to come along, I think, in the parish for a long time. All right, item number 5A, granting approval for a family petition for the Beverly Wheat Properties, tracks A1A, A1B, A1C. Yes, sir.
James Falgo, representing Ms. Beverly Wheat on the following family partition. Comments were made and were addressed and corrected on the plat. Asking the commission for approval.
Commissioners have any questions, comments? Any comments, questions at this time? Hearing none, I'd like to open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward, speak on behalf of this property, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. No one wishing to comment. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners, comments, questions?
James, I sympathize with these landowners. They're landlocked, and all they have is that little bitty driveway to get out. And I looked for any other options. I don't see any, but the ordinance states in no event should it be less than 30 feet. So the width is just not, to me, it's unacceptable. I can't, in good conscience, allow any more homes to go back on that property.
Well, this is it. I mean, they're not further subdividing this again. I mean, there's 3 homes on this one track, and that's it. They're not going to do anything else with it. It is an asphalt road. It's a good shaped road. I mean, they can't go anywhere else with the servitude. And as far as Miss Wheat, this is it. I mean, there's nothing else they're going to do to this property.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, but wait a minute, you say you're not gonna further subdivide it, but what you're ending up with is, you know, if I'm reading this correctly, you're looking at a total of 5 lots or 5 parcels of land when you consider tract PW1 at the rear. So, and right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess the presumption is that there's gonna build yet at least 1, if not 2 additional homes.
No, that's not their intentions. There's only 3 lots that are getting serviced by this servitude. The front lot does not use this servitude at all to access their property.
Well, the front lot is a store, and then, unfortunately, I was hoping there's some way it could be widened on the north side, but that's where the granite company stores all their granite. There's no way it can be enlarged.
Correct.
I mean, it's possible we can get Mr. Gonzalez to give up another 5, 6 feet, possible. Like I said, this is it. I mean, there's 3 houses, each one needs to be on their own lot. I mean, she can't give any of them, she can't give the store to her kids and with it all on one lot, which they're presently running.
Well, so explain to me the configuration. So your track A1C, to the west of track A1C, you have another parcel of land.
No, that's part of track A-1-B,
Right, by virtue of a 5-foot sliver of land.
which we can increase that if you'd like.
You know, actually, that's part of the problem. I mean, that, you know, I hate to use a terrible analogy, but, you know, if that isn't a lot, you know, that chicken sure is quacking a lot.
Well, I mean, if she was going to plan on building something back there, it would have been created a lot by this partition. She made it specific that nothing was being built back there ever as long as she was alive. So she was keeping the property for her. She was giving the house to her kids, and the front was going to the store, and the house was going to her.
But we have turned down other property owners who had the same situation. Just, I mean, right around the corner, there was one. And again, I sympathize, and I don't see any other way, and the ordinance to me is clear, no less than 30 feet. So I would make a motion to deny based on what the ordinance states.
I second it.
Okay, we have a
Can we
motion.
make it contingent
But-
upon Mr. Gonzalez giving an extra 10 feet? Would you?
I don't think, I mean, we have to see it on paper. We can't go based on a promise or something like that. If it's not on paper, then that's what we're reviewing, what we see before us.
Let me ask you a question. Who, track A1C, that's one daughter? Track A1B, that's the other daughter?
She's living there. Miss Beverly Wheat, this is her. She's presently living there. This is the daughter.
It was for my son and my daughter's moved, and my son died. So it's inherited property, and there's nobody else gonna move. The rest of my kids all have a home. So, and the buildings have been like that for 25 years, I guess.
I would make a suggestion to you that why don't you defer it and go try to see what you can do about the
I
width.
believe the motion's
Yeah,
been made
yeah,
and
we-
seconded.
Oh, that's
Right, right.
Yeah.
We've
I
got to
apologize,
vote.
you're right. Yeah, we got to vote.
All right, motion to deny by Sherry Slyman, seconded by Beverly.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion?
You want hands or what?
All right.
Just say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda, 5B, family partition for Roy Rouget, properties tracks B1A1A through B1A1C, B1B1, and B1B2. All right, yes, sir.
James Fago again, representing Mr. Roy Rouillet on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Commissioners have any comments or questions?
What all is part of the original Roy Rouillet property,
All of it was originally his property at one time.
including the Norman D. Edwards tract?
Yes, that's correct. I believe that's been subdivided, I want to say at least 10 years, 15 years.
So what you have here is a total of 7 lots, including those that have been previously created.
Correct.
James, we didn't go back in here. When it says low area on your plat, is that buildable or not
No.
buildable?
This, what you see here, is pretty much, there's no more land. That's all swamp, low area, unsuitable.
Well,
Except for, I guess, if you see track B1A2, that area. But Mr. Rouillet presently has a home where he's living at now.
except conceivably you could mitigate it and develop it.
It's underwater. I guess you could, yeah. Would it be worth
Conceivably.
it? Yeah.
But it would be cost prohibitive.
Well,
It would be
you
costly.
could.
Yeah.
And as,
But-
actually I was in contact with, track B1, B2, his daughter is actually, as soon as, if this gets approved, which hopefully it does, we'll be putting her house on there, signing the papers on it and moving on there pretty quickly. And the other house is going to, his daughter's going through a divorce in California, and he's giving her the house to move down here. And the back one's going to another daughter. You give one daughter one, you gotta give another one something too.
Any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and comment, please come forward. You have 3 minutes. No one wishing to comment, public hearing is closed. Any further comments, questions? What is the wish of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Buddy, seconded by Michael. Any opposition? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, family partition, Jerome Babin Properties, Lot JB3. Mr. Falgout.
Representing Mr. Jerome Babin on the following family partition. Comments were made and addressed and corrected on the plat. He's wishing to give lot JB3 to his grandson so he can start building on it. The lots that are already houses existing on the road are family.
Commissioners have any comments, questions?
There's a staff comment about the possibility of combining lots 4A and 5A into one piece of property. Is the
On this
applicant
plat,
willing to do
It's not like
that?
that. When all the other properties were divided, the front two, it was still, it wasn't their intention to combine them. To leave them as there is. There is suitable amount of acreage on each lot still.
Any other comments, questions at this time? Hearing none, open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak on this property, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak. Public comment period is closed. Any additional comments, questions? What is the wish of the commission?
I'll make a
Explain to
motion
me-
to approve.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask, explain to me why he wants to keep those two tracks as separate tracks?
Which is done.
You know,
But that's not part of this, right? I mean, he's just dividing off one lot to give to the,
yeah, but he's
Right.
cutting it out
The
of those
lot goes onto
parcels.
2 lots.
So those parcels are part of this review.
Maybe staff could explain what the benefit of doing that would be. Whoever in staff would like.
The reason we asked the question was because of the irregular shape of the two tracks and because of the restricted frontage that one of them has as far as the remainder. And we just thought that they should consider combining the two tracks.
You're talking about the remainder of track 4A? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, this is being carved out a lot, so absolutely, this is being done. Right, and besides that, I mean,
I don't agree. It's not part of this. No, it's not. He's creating one lot.
right, where's it coming from? It's coming
He's
from
still
those
creating
parcels.
one lot.
It's coming out of those parcels.
I don't think we have the right to say that.
Where's it coming from then? You know, just, huh? I'm sorry. Oh, did you see what I'm saying? They came from
I
somewhere.
don't think,
No, you're right, but I mean, sometimes you gotta just make an effort. Even if I get told no, I make the effort.
No.
It's the planner in me.
Yes, sir.
He's not the one.
He'll combine them, ain't that big of a deal.
I'm sorry.
It'll be combined. It's combined.
You know, that, in the long run, it's gonna be better for him. You know, he'll have
No
better
problem.
access and what have you, so it's actually in his best interest.
No
Okay.
problem.
then I will rescind my motion.
Didn't hear it anyway.
I made it, whether you heard it or not, I made
He
it.
was a tie. He's sitting next to me here.
You know, then I'll, you know, in conjunction with your motion, I'll make a motion to approve with the condition that tracks 5A and 4A be combined into one parcel as well, as part of the plat. And give the applicant the opportunity to revise the plat, subject to staff's acceptance.
Second.
All right. Have a substitute motion by Julio Dumas to for approval with the condition that lots 5A and 4A are combined and meet staff approval. Seconded by Steve Barrow. Any opposition? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is Joyce L. Smith property, lots 1A, 1B.
Good evening. Good evening. Clint Quintmall representing W.J. Quintmall Surveyors, asking for Planning Commission approval on the following family partition for Joyce L. Smith, subdividing Lot 1 into 2 tracts. The only comment was to go ahead and enlarge the area in the south, call it the southeast portion of Lot 1A, due to the multiple lines and servitudes in that area. We did that in the center of the map. There is a 20-foot private servitude of access back to a single lot stated in the regulations. This property will never be subdivided again, of course, unless that's enlarged, but they have no plans to. We have a deer cleaning shed on the southwest line. An encroachment, they plan to remove that encroachment. Other than that, just to point out, L1 is the center line of the 20-foot servitude of access, and it ends at the designation is P3, which would be the property line right there. That's it for me.
All right. Commissioners have any comments, questions?
So you're saying the deer cleaning shed is going to be removed?
Correct.
Okay. Can we add a to be removed?
No problem. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because I see one on the shed on the north side to be
Correct.
removed.
They had told me that after the fact, after I had sent in the corrected plan.
Lot 1A is going to gain access off of the dirt hunting access road, or is it going to get access off of the servitude?
They're going to use the current gravel drive up to the point where it says P3, where it ends, due to the fact that that gravel drive has been used and structurally is better than the hunting access road. And then at P3 they will then take their private drive to where they decide to build their home. So they want to use that existing solid gravel drive that exists today up to that point.
How does the owner of Lot 1-A get to the east-west finger, the stem of the flag on the flag lot?
What? This is all family.
I know, but how does he get there?
They just use the existing gravel drive that their
But
mother
his
lives on the
servitude doesn't
current
go all the
res-
way to that.
Well, they can cross the 26-foot top bank ditch. They've already been approved to place a culvert in that ditch by the parish.
That's the culvert you show.
No, they've been actually approved for a new culvert.
A new culvert
Mm-hmm.
towards the west, upriver or whatever, downriver, whatever.
Correct, in the northwest
Okay.
finger.
Commissioners, any other questions at this time? If not, open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward? You have 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to come forward, public hearing is closed. Any other comments, questions? What is the wish of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion to approve by Julio, seconded by Buddy. Any opposition? Motion carries.
Thank you. Well, good evening.
Okay, item number 6A, public hearing for granting the final approval to the Creekside subdivision.
Good evening.
Hi.
Brandon Acosta, representing B&B Office Holdings, asking for your final approval of Creekside third filing. This is the conclusion of Creekside subdivision. 30 new lots and one common area tract. Construction has been completed. It was done without any punch list items. We have approved bond amount. Just want to move forward with the approval of the final plat.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Hearing no comments, questions, open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward have 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to come forward. Public hearing is closed. Any final comments, questions?
Ricky, have you got something to point out?
Yeah, I want to apologize to Brandon because I didn't get him the email quick enough, but I'd love to put a comment in the top left corner under 102608 zoning review ID 1918.08. This property went to the Board of Adjustments and there were 2 conditions. One was to move the front setback from 20 to 15, and the other is just to add the note that says lots 109, 110, and 111 must have rear entry carports and a drive pad with a minimum of 30 feet. I'd just like to put that note on the plat just to minimize the cross-checking of work that we have to do in our office when those lots come forward.
Okay.
No problem.
It's not a problem?
No, not at all. We still have to submit the plat to Ricky and Charles, and they have to one final review anyway. So
Everything else is done on the subdivision. You don't have any open items? You done? Okay.
This is probably one of the most complete that we've seen, yeah. And therefore, I'll make the motion to approve contingent on these items being added as Ricky's requested.
Second?
Motion to approve by Sherry Schleiman, seconded by Julio Dumas. Any opposition? Motion carries.
thank you.
Let's see, as I said earlier, item 7A has been pulled at the request of the designer. So it moves to item number 8A Subdivision Ordinance Committee.
We did not, no, yes, we did. We met, we had a very light turnout last month. We are meeting the day after Memorial Day, which is either the 26th or 27th, is the Tuesday at 6 o'clock at DPW. And we are working on cleaning up some items that we keep mentioning up here for simple divisions, things like roads, just things that we keep bringing up again and again and again. We're going to see about adding those or making sure they're clear in the ordinance. And I think that's it. 6 o'clock, DPW, the day after Memorial Day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. Strategic planning. I don't know, Ricky, if you have anything from there to report. Item number 9, old business. The Dane Sutton property, lots DS1A, DS1B, DS1C. And you're a busy man tonight.
Yes, sir. That's the way I like it. James Fowle, you representing Mr. Roy Sutton on the following family partition. Asking the commission for approval.
Comments, questions by commissioners?
Hey, James, just out of curiosity, I mean, you've got a 40-foot servitude of passage, and you've got your 12-foot utility going all the way up to the end there. But it dies at DS1C, which I guess tells me that DS1A, has essentially a 10.8 egress and no contact to the utilities. I mean,
We can dogleg it and make an L with it.
Right.
Make it attach to that problem. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
okay,
Not a problem.
now,
It needs to be done.
right, the other question is, what's the 10-foot sliver of land do for you?
It keeps, the guy has his horses back there. Mr. Dane Sutton. His horses and everything back there. He wants to keep the pasture for himself. And he wants to leave the 10 foot so he has access. A little road or something.
But it's kind
That's his
of,
property.
oh, okay. So it's just for his horses.
So you are going to revise this plat,
Yeah. I'm gonna add
revise the plat and extend that
extend
40 foot and
the
the
40
serv.
foot and then extend the utility servitude around it too.
Yep.
Do you want me to extend it 40 feet past it or
Well, just where
20 feet
you,
would be?
where you can
Right. You gotta
make it
meet-
legal.
You got to meet the
Okay,
standard.
Not a problem.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, open up the floor for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward? You have 3 minutes to speak. Make sure you sign in, please, and state your name.
My name is Amy Severio. I'm a resident of San Martin Road. And we are here to oppose the division of the land. From our understanding, the division of the land is to actually put more mobile homes on however many, I don't know how many lots he's actually wanting to break it down into. But first of all, I don't know, our road, San Martin Road, is 11.6 feet from one side of the pavement to the other side of the pavement. There's already 30 homes down the road. Most of the homes are all family property. But you're talking about 30 homes, 2 vehicles apiece. You're talking about probably 60 vehicles up and down the road all day. And I believe we should probably have more traffic study there, and we would like to have a drainage flow there too. I have pictures of the road if you guys want to see. And I think you have to go up.
You can put them on that. There's a little projector right there if you want to just slide them
Okay,
under
I'm
there.
gonna get, yeah, I'll show you the one. This is, can you see?
Yes.
Okay. A truck passing, when one vehicle comes down the road, all of the other vehicles have to pull off onto this little, very
Shoulder,
slanted
window.
piece of gravel that we have there. And then here's another one of, that's how much room a bus has to pass down the road. I mean, you can't, there's no way for any more traffic to make it down the road with just the width that it is. And if it was family purposes, that would be one thing, but the intent is to put substandard. I think we have some pictures of his, well, you can probably barely see it here, but, just, you know, it's very old, outdated, substandard mobile homes and family property. I think this is the only part of land here and maybe one other small piece that's not family property back there. So we oppose it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to comment? All right, no one else wishing to comment. Public hearing is closed. Comments, questions by commissioners?
These are going to be family members.
Yeah, James, you want to address her concerns?
As far as road, it is, I mean, it is pretty narrow, but like you said, there's only 30 people living back there. I mean, that's not a very highly trafficked road. This is family members going there.
How many people did you say?
She said 30 houses.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's not heavily, but it has been just recently blacktop within, I'd say, the past few years. So,
How wide?
last year it was blacktop. Yeah, I mean, that's a parish concern. I mean,
We've
that's,
done had parish vehicles break down and we got stuck, couldn't get out.
These pictures were taken just a month ago. Yeah, I mean, right before we came to the last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I say this is for rental purposes, this is not.
All right, public comment period is closed.
And
Unless we ask you a question. Okay.
And one of the mobile homes is going to be removed
That's
according
correct.
to your plat.
exactly.
James, are there 3 trailers or 2 trailers on that front piece?
Two, unless one just got moved
There's
there.
3.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not on the front piece, it's on a different lot. He supposedly has got permission to start moving one of them on there, because one of his kids is already gonna move back there. So,
Did he have a permit to do that?
he should have. I would assume.
Well, usually you don't get a permit before you get approval, but that's okay. I mean, it's like, horse, cart,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. But one of them is going to be moved. So basically, you're really just putting one more house or mobile home onto the property.
Well, it's really unfortunate that the ordinance permits something like this. I mean, I don't want to pick on your applicant by any stretch of the imagination, but this is an ongoing, something that I struggle with every single one of these things, because, you met the letter of the ordinance, and so, you're entitled to your approval. But from a practical perspective, this is really, I hate to say this, but it's wrong. We have a road that's substandard. Clearly, there's probably a public obligation to do something about San Martin Road. I'm assuming it's a parish-owned road. If it were a private road, I'd say you all fix the problem before we approve this, but it's a public road. And I don't know what else, we could possibly do. But I'll share with you, James, my frustration with these things, because I
understand.
There's just nothing right about it. It's terrible condition. But given that you meet, the letter of the law, I have no choice but to make a motion to approve.
Contingent on those items you already
Yeah,
mentioned.
contingent on you correcting the plat. Thank you very much. Contingent on you addressing the servitude of passage and utility easement in accordance to the code.
A second.
Who, what, Sherry? Was it you? Second? Okay. I have a motion to approve by Julio Dumas, seconded by Sherry Slyman. Any opposition?
Object.
Okay, we got Mr. Marchand objects. Bob objects. Any other objections? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item 9B, Commerce Center. Anyone here to present Commerce Center?
I'm George Bonfanti, and I'm one of the owners of Commerce Center.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
I'm George Bonfanti, and I'm one of the owners of Commerce Center.
Okay.
We find ourselves in a pretty unique position in that we had a number of contracts on the different lots that we have in Commerce Center that were scheduled to close at the end of last year, but the economy kind of got to us before we got them closed, and we lost 4 contracts, and right now we're trying to survive this project. We have two items, I think, that are of concern. One is the sewer treatment plant, which is not there, and the other is the improvements to Airline Highway, which are also not completed. The sewer treatment plant problem is that initially we had a 200,000 gallon plant that was designed on the Bullion Crossing property adjacent to our site. Bullion Crossing, also for economic conditions, has held up their construction of their property, and there is no need for a 200,000 gallon plant back there. We have one office building on the site in Commerce Center. It's a 7,300 foot building. We use about 400 gallons a day in sewer capacity. We've been informed that 400 gallons a day is not sufficient to operate a plant as large as the one that's designed on there. Until there's a need, we really can't build that plant. We can't operate it with the amount of sewage that we produce. So we have that issue that we need to discuss. We have made provisions for our office building where we had a wet well that we were going to use to pump all of the sewage to the large sewer treatment plant. We've converted that into a smaller pump. We've installed a 1,500 gallon MODAD that basically operates our office building and has capacity for at least one other building. Our other alternative at this point is to install a 3,000 to 4,000 gallon plant. It's a very small plant near the site of the proposed 200,000 gallon plant, which at that point in time would give us capacity to build 4 or 5 office buildings. If we do not have the ability to get building permits, which is something that's been brought up to me, then we really can't sell lots, which means that we don't need any sewer plant. The problem that we face, of course, is that until we can sell this land and build buildings, that there is no need. And pretty much the same story goes for the improvements to Airline Highway. DOT has informed us that we have no, what they call, warrant to build turn lanes and median cuts on Airline Highway, because we generate roughly 20 trips a day, and they would prefer us not to install lights and turn lanes on Airline Highway until such time as we have a need for it. So we're working with the economy, with our realtors, with everybody that we can to generate some sales in here, but as of right now, we have no need for the large sewer plant nor the turn lanes on Airline Highway.
All right, thank you very much. Questions, comments?
Mr. Bonfanti, got a couple of questions for you. So what you're telling us you want to do, you want to go ahead and put in a system to handle the one office building plus possibly 1 or 2 other office buildings right now.
We have a system in place right now that has been approved by the Parish Sanitarian, which is large enough to handle our building and 1 other. Okay, we don't have any other buildings under construction in there right now. The nearest thing we have to a building that will come online is a bank building on the corner of Marketplace Drive and Airline Highway. And I spoke with the president of the bank and earlier this year, and he indicated it would be at least another year before they start, if they do at that time. So that building there, we're looking at least a year, maybe 2 years before that comes online. So the capacity that we need right now for our building is actually 3 times more than we have, 3 times more than we actually need.
Okay, so you figure for the time being you're covered.
Yes.
We don't know what Bullion Crossing is going to do.
No, we don't.
So you don't know if you will ever, I mean, because when the final plat was approved for this, that was the deal, tying into their plan. And I understand they're not building, they're not constructing anything right now. What I'm looking at though is the situation has changed up. So I kind of have to look at it from a point of view of what does the parish need to do. And I'm wondering with these improvements that you're talking about, if maybe those improvements shouldn't go through a bonding process also. I'd kind of like to get staff's, some comments from staff on this as far as the roads DOTD is going to dictate, because you're coming off Airline Highway, but the sewage treatment plant, anything else like that that's on the property itself, I think we should take all precautions that we need to, as far as from the parish's point of view. So I mean, I'd kind of like to get some comments from staff as far as what your views are.
Regarding the sewer treatment plant, I mean, I think a bond would be the sensible thing there, with the definite triggers on, you know, when that would have to be put in. There could be a time element and you know, a capacity element built into that. As far as Airline Highway, DOTD is going to have the final say on that, because airline's their baby, and there's a little bit of uncertainty, as far as I can tell, is what they want at that intersection there. They've just done a large project with the Burger King development across the street, and the DOTD letters, as far as I can tell, they don't know what they want. I've been trying to call and get a clear answer on that. I know Jackie's talked to him. Jackie from DPW has been talking to him as well. But until DOTD makes a definite choice on what they expect at this location, we're all kind of we're waiting on them, basically. So I don't know that a bond for the road improvements would make sense until we know what's going to go on there. But as far as the sewer treatment plant, yeah, it would be a good idea. And
okay,
I think that I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the code was amended a year or so ago to eliminate a developer's ability to bond the improvements before recording a plat. So there is no provision in the code right now, if my memory serves me right. We eliminated that opportunity for a developer to record his plat.
We changed some of it, but not all of it.
At the stage of final approval, the developer had an option to go ahead and do the construction or bond out.
Right.
And they could do it at will. We eliminated the option B. I don't think that necessarily applies here.
Well, if they don't have an option to bond anything, and I don't think we ever, and I don't think the improvements for sewer were part of the.
There was no other specifics. It was just construction, general construction.
Yeah, it was general construction, which I don't think was specific. But I mean, I happen to agree with you. I think we ought to require all developers to bond all of the required improvements, which should include all of the essential improvements like sewer, water, you know, prior to recording a plat, and, you know, before it's finalized. Even if they don't record the plat, it needs to be bonded. How do we know they're going to finish it? How they're going to do it? Going to be finished correctly? But let me ask you a question. Let me lay out to you a what-if scenario. What if the other development with the sewer treatment plant goes away? What if they never move forward? You plan on keeping your development on individual modads for the buildings?
Absolutely not.
So what's your plan for future?
The reason we designed the plant the way we did was to eliminate having a second sewer treatment plant on that property. That was the Odom property that I purchased and subsequently sold off part of it. And then the developer who bought the back part of that property also bought some additional land. in order to avoid having more than one sewer plant on the property, we went ahead and designed the large plant. And it is designed on the other guy's property, on Bullion Crossing's property.
Correct.
They have high aspirations of starting soon. As a matter of fact, I was told about 30 days ago that they were planning to start, and then they were approached by the school board, and the school board wants to put a school building back there, which will enhance the whole property, both the residential as well as the commercial. If that happens, then of course they've got to come back in and redo their PUD, which has been approved. They've got to get the engineering done on the PUD, then they've got to come before this body, then they've got to go before the commission to get all that approved. And they're telling me it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year. They really don't know. So that is another time delay. I love the idea of having a school back there. This piece of property is in a strategic location in the parish, and it will be a valuable piece of property. Problem is that we're in an economic problem right now.
Sure.
And everybody knows it, and we're all suffering from it. So my problem right now is I need the ability to continue to sell lots, but at the same time, I don't have the need for the big sewer treatment plant or the turn lanes.
Well, and there lies the problem. I mean, none of us have a crystal ball of what's going to happen, whether the school board moves right away or slow, whether this probable change takes 6 months, a year, or longer. And the question is, again, you know, you've got your 22 lots, and I'd love for you to be able to develop them and bring the industry into Ascension Parish, but we need a plan of how we're going to handle the sewer and the water on this property in a sensible way that doesn't cause an adverse impact. What if you were able to sell all 22 lots and develop them? What then? You know, we need to have some kind of a plan, some kind of a gauge. Are you willing to do so many lots before you do something?
If we sell all 22 lots, I promise you there'll be a 200,000 gallon plant back there. The contract has already been signed between the developer and Mr. Pertwee at Wastewater Treatment.
Right.
They have a contract already to do that plant.
The only question is when.
Yeah, we're back to.
So we're back to that. That's the question. When? I mean, it's funny. As long as I can remember, I've seen things that came about that were supposed to be temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We need a definition of temporary, because there are things out there I know of that were put in 10 years ago. It was supposed to be temporary. It was set up as far as temporary. It's still in operation. 10 years, you know, that's not temporary. So what we've got to figure out is, what are we going to do for right now, and to give ourselves some time, 6 months or a year. What are we going to do during this time frame? Because we don't know what's going to happen with Bullion Crossing. So,
can I ask a question? Mr. Bonfanti, I don't know exactly how this works. Your MODAD that you currently have installed, which is good for another building, does it matter where that new building, the new business would be? What if it's on the other side of your subdivision? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter, because the entire sewer connection system,
okay, so it's just,
system is installed.
Okay, all right.
And I'm assuming that the MODAD will be removed once the plant is in place.
Absolutely, I don't need it. Actually, what we're going to do is just leave it there. We don't need it.
Let me ask you a question. This is suitable for 2 buildings.
Yes.
What happens if you have 5 buildings?
In that instance, we would put in the other plant that we were talking about, the 3,000 to 4,000 gallon plant, on the same site as the 200,000 plant is currently proposed. Tom, can you come and give us some more details on that?
But that's on Bullion Crossing, right?
It's on Bullion Crossing land.
But you can't do that, can you?
Yes, we have an agreement to do that.
Yeah, that's if Bullion Crossing would also develop.
What if it goes bankrupt?
What if they don't?
I believe that it's on a separate parcel of land that they have come to an agreement. There's some sales that's been done between the 2 of those developers, where George does have the right to install on that particular tract of land, it's my understanding.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Excuse me, I'm Tom Pertwee with Wastewater Treatment.
Thank you.
I had some conversation with the engineer in Baton Rouge with the Department of Health regarding this particular project, and his opinion was that installing a temporary plant with a limited capacity, and also by limiting the number of sites that could be tied into it, could be worked out. He did not say he would approve it, but he said on the surface he thought it was something that could be accomplished. I think what is trying to be done is to allow Mr. Bonfanti the opportunity to build 3, maybe 4 sites with this plant, and at that time he should be able to economically move into a larger plant. Now, the larger plant doesn't necessarily have to be the 200,000 gallon plant. The other option, Mr. Dumas, that you was asking about was what would be the plan, and the plan would be to install a plant that would be capable of handling this particular development in its entirety, that could be expanded at a future date to handle the Bullion Crossing. So that would be a more costly step than going straight to the 200,000, but it would be something that would give him the opportunity to develop his in full while waiting on Bullion to develop theirs in full.
Mr. Bonfanti, do you have or have submitted to staff any documents, servitudes, or whatever that would document that you have the right to build this plant and have access to that track X?
As a matter of fact, I do. We have the final plat, and it's spelled out on the final plat. And I don't know if
Final plat of Bullion Crossing?
No, of Commerce Center, which shows a match line and shows the lines leading down to the sewer plant.
Mr. Becknell, do you all have those plans that he's speaking about now?
I don't know.
Have you seen them?
Which, I'm not sure you talking
about the sewer plants.
No, the only thing we have is the final plat, which shows the location of the sewer plant.
Oh, yeah, that's
This is the general notes that it's tying into.
No, this
Did
little
it show it
corner,
on the construction plan?
this little corner right here, this little match line, that's one right there. And the sanitary sewer line would be right here. And that servitude is how you get to it. Okay?
And that's
And
on
there's
Bullion
there's a 15-foot service instrument number.
On the 15 plat.
All right, it goes from 15 to 10.
Inconsistency.
You know, your plat shows 2 different dimensions, by the way.
Calls that.
It says a 15-foot servitude, and then it says, on the detail, it says 10-foot servitude.
Never noticed that before. If you look to the left of that little drawing where it shows the 10-foot servitude, there's a statement there saying private sanitary sewer servitude dedication. The areas designed as private sanitary sewer servitudes are hereby dedicated to the owners of Commerce Center for the sewer removal.
And that's Is that track X? That's the part I don't understand. I don't understand what this track X is, because it doesn't match the little sketch. It's to the right-hand side of Airline Highway.
Oh, tract X, that's the little parcel of ground that had the lift station. That is located on Lot 8, to the right of Lot 8, between 8 and 7B.
Oh, never mind. I see it now. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's just the lift station.
Right.
Okay. So how many lots? So you have a MoDOT that can do 2 lots.
Correct.
And the third lot, what are you going to do for the third lot?
Put in a temporary plant.
So what you're asking for then is a waiver for 2 lots only, and the ability to build a smaller plant that'll support all 20 lots.
No, the plant we're talking about here will support probably 4 to 5 lots, okay? And then, once that gets moving and we get the funds from the sale of those lots, then we'd put in a plant large enough to handle the entire subdivision. Our problem right now is lack of dollars.
But the MoDOT would only do 2, then it's a plant.
The existing MoDOT, that's correct.
But then after that, we go to a plant.
Yes.
Small plant.
Small plant? The 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, but we go, so the plant, but the plant's an expandable plant. It'll support 5 lots, and then it'll support 20
No,
lots.
not exactly. The plant that would be put in initially for the 3,000 to 4,000 is a dedicated steel treatment plant that we can move onto the property, get in operation when it is, when the larger plant is installed and operating, it can be removed from the property. So it's definitely a temporary facility.
Will that plant handle all 22 lots?
No,
or
sir, it will
just
only handle
5?
maybe 4 to 5.
So, say on the 5th lot, that's when we would require
would
you
not
to
be
put
able
in
to- yeah, right.
something else.
Exactly, you would not be able to, would not have the capacity. I haven't worked out all the details with Mr. Davis, with DHH in Baton Rouge, but I'm knowing him, I know that that will be covered in great detail to protect himself and to protect the parish.
But the waiver you're asking for really only applies to the 2 lots, because that's the only ones that you're not going to have a plant for. Correct, staff?
That's the one they've already got in place.
But it's physically there, but it still requires a waiver from the planning commission.
Yes.
Done incorrectly.
Yeah. Okay, explain to me what happens if Bouillon Crossing goes bankrupt or doesn't happen? And then what size treatment plant will you need to service all 22 lots?
And where would you put it?
And where would you put it? I understand you have an agreement, but let's say that development doesn't happen.
The size of the plant would be 50,000 gallons a day, is what would be installed for his development.
For the 22 lots?
22 lots, correct. And it was my understanding that the position of the treatment plant on the side of Bouillon Crossing was irrevocable, that it would be, that's there for the use of the sewage treatment plant.
Has staff seen that?
It's on the plan.
The only thing would be in the construction plan review. And I haven't seen the construction plans.
So y'all haven't seen any
No,
documentation?
I'm not saying we haven't. I'm just saying when the construction plans were reviewed and approved before the final plat was approved, which was, say, a year to 2 years ago, this was all shown on there.
Doesn't the dedication on the final plat that was recorded cover that?
On which one? You're talking about this one?
Plat where the dedication is.
Well, it's good for you, but I want to see reciprocity on the other one, too. I mean, you're saying that, but does Bouillon Crossing say the same thing?
Let's, Tony,
I hope it
do you
does.
have any input?
met with Mr. Bagnell and we discussed this. The only problem I see and other staff members were concerned about is that if we don't have anything on a final plot on any of the temporary things you're talking about or anything in writing, we don't have any way to cover what you're talking about. So our only concern would be that we would end up with a bunch of little modads or 5 lots here on one system, 5 lots here on one system. We just don't want to see that happen.
Well, I can assure you that would never get approved by the local health official or East Baton Rouge Parish, which is going to rule in this instance. They would never approve that.
Well, wait, but you got your MODAD in without, and that shouldn't have happened.
That was
So-
a one-time deal, and it was
So it does
very
happen.
clear- It was made very clear that that would probably be the only one allowed, period.
Okay, so I'm back to my question. Your MODAC today can support 2 lots.
That's correct.
So if you were going to develop a 3rd lot, there will be a plant that's being reviewed and approved by the health department.
That is correct.
So really, the waiver that you're asking for would only apply to a maximum of 2 certificate of occupancies. Other than that, you'll have a plant.
Yes.
He would have to come back to us.
No, if he wanted to have any more MODADs, he'd have to come back to
No,
us.
if he does, if after.
No, if he does, and he goes to the health department, gets his plant permit, builds a plant, and does and moves forward. But it's a plant, it's not a MODAD. 2 lots.
Right. That's what I understand.
Okay.
Well, can I ask you, how did you, or why did you put in the MODAD without informing anyone? You just went ahead and did it?
No, we didn't just go ahead and do it. We talked to, what's his name?
Chuck Methvin.
Chuck Methvin, and Mr. Methvin approved it. Parish Sanitary.
I think Commissioner Barrow was referring to this, to Ascension Parish, not the health department. The health department is one regulatory agency, we're a different regulatory agency, and I think, that's, our ordinance says you can't have it, and so when you put it in without our approval, you essentially in violation of our ordinance.
I wasn't aware of that, I'm sorry.
That's.
Well, I think you see what we're looking at. I mean, when this final plat was signed, everything had been ironed out and it was supposed to work a certain way, and now you've installed something different that wasn't according to the plan at the time. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
When we put the temporary plant in, the MODAD is going to be removed. It's no longer going to be functional.
Any other comments, questions, or we think we've discussed enough?
Mr. Chairman.
Steve, you got a question? Or you don't-
Wait, staff, we have staff wants to make a comment?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a comment about it. The building that was presently built was, to my understanding and my recollection at the time, was built prior to final approval. There was one building for that large piece of properties. And under conditions of the economics as seems to be going on, it was, and for whatever reason, the local Board of Health approved for that one building to have that particular MODAD, to my understanding. If another building is to be built and utilize that plant, we would, from the building department standpoint, would request approval from the local DHA for the second permitting of that. If in the event the commission tonight would approve what's being asked, the larger plant would be built, the MODAD would be removed, those 2 buildings would be tied into that larger system. I'm not sure how we can advance or help or motivate to get this particular development on the move, but I see an issue here that can be helpful in both ways, an economic standpoint for a developer who's put a lot of money in this development. On the other hand, keep the Board of Health where their regulations come through, and I can assure you Stephen Davis is not going to just hand over anything to Tommy Pertry just because he likes him or something. I'm pretty sure of that. So I just want to make a comment that, for clarification, the building that's built was built prior to the final plat or permitted as a single lot. Nothing to do with any type of sewer plant which is allowed at the time, other than the big plant which was approved on the plat originally. If that can help anything, I offer that to you.
Well, no, that's a good piece of clarification. Thank you. You ready for motion, Chair?
No other comments, questions? Ready?
I'll make a motion to grant the extension of the deadline for the improvements on Airline Highway as outlined in the DOTD letter. Also, approval of the waiver for the sewer treatment plant to permit up to 2 certificate of occupancies on the development out of the 22 lots. Provided, however, that they get the appropriate approvals from the Department of Health.
For the second.
For the second unit that they're going to build. Any future developments would have to comply with the plant requirements as stipulated by the Department of Health. Did I make that clear?
Not to me.
Are you putting a timeline on that?
One for the highway, one for the other.
It's tied to certificate of occupancy, so long as it's vacant land, they don't have to do it. But if they come in, get a building permit, they'll be able to build. They'll be able to build a sewer treatment plant concurrently. They just won't be able to occupy their building until the plant's built.
So you're saying 2 more COs?
No, ma'am.
No.
2 total?
2 total certificate occupancies. The testimony is that their MODAD can support up to 2 buildings. So you can move forward with up to 2 buildings subject to DHH approval. And then when you go to a 3rd building, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy of the 3rd building, they have to have a plant. They have to have a plant suitable to DHH standards.
The small plant?
Yeah.
Actually, we would probably request as normal procedure that we get that the engineer that's going to apply for the permit from DHH on a state level would have to show us that he has applied for it and it's been received. Therefore, then we could issue a building permit. But we would never issue an occupancy until we get a letter from DHH indicating the plant is operational.
Correct.
So that's basically how we operate today on most any large development.
Yeah, and all we're granting a waiver is for the 2 lots, and the only catch we're, notwithstanding what you do, is that we want him on notice that you're not going to issue that 3rd certificate of occupancy
Correct.
without a plant.
Now, one other point I'd like to clarify is many times in subdivisions, they would put, if it's a 100,000 gallon unit, they might just put 25 units in for and then another one as the development gets larger, and then another one, and we kind of regulate. The state would tell us when we can allow for occupancies depending on that amount of system. So it's not unusual for them to build portions of it and add on, because that's how they're designed to be. They might have even an oxidation pond, and then they just put more aeration in it. And so there's different scenarios on different types of sewer treatment facilities. And this one, getting in on the tail end, and I apologize for that part, but the fact is they don't all the time build them 100%.
Correct.
They continue on as it. They might say, you're okay to give COs from lot 1 to lot 20. Then they come back later from lot 21 to lot 48, or what, in phases. So similar when they do a phase of a subdivision like you did tonight and approve the 3rd phase, I'm sure we're going to be another request telling us that we can use that 3rd phase approval from DHH for occupancy.
But unless we have a question, I think we're probably
Julio,
okay.
In your motion, are you going to require the bonding? If they build the plant, we don't know that they're going to come back before us for that.
Well,
So-
if the fact of the matter is that we're not, I mean, well, I tell you what, Commissioner Marshall, and that's a good question. I mean, the fact of the matter is we're not in the sewer business. The state's in the sewer business. And the only thing that really we want to burden staff with is they're not going to be able to occupy the building until the state signs off on that sewer plant. So they could build a building and it could sit there and fall apart because there's no sewer plant. They're not going to get an occupancy. And rather than get into the business of having them fund a bond that's subject to state approval and burden staff with it, you know, I mean, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. I personally would rather be in the bonding business and making bond those improvements, but I see the quagmire of putting that additional burden on the developer when it's not something that we as a parish regulate. It's something that's regulated by a state agency. Correct, staff? So, you know, the only thing we've got is he can't occupy that building until the state signs off on it. And so that he can build a building, he can build a monument to his wonderful personality and not be able to occupy it until the state signs off on that plan. And I'm sorry, but you know, I'm trying to be very blunt with you.
Hey, I appreciate it.
So, but Mike, I would if I could.
Okay, Julio, but you're only giving him you're giving him one additional CO.
Correct.
But I think actually what he was looking for was 2 more before they have to put the plant in. Is that correct or not correct?
No, that's not correct.
Don't worry about the other 2.
No,
When we get the second building up and running, then at that point, we'll put in
The plant, the small
temporary
plant.
plant, right.
Okay.
Which essentially is the third building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second. That was a long motion, but I think
You comprehended that? All right.
Ricky, you want to do that? You do have it, right?
Stacy's got it.
It's on tape.
Yeah. All right. Motion and second. Granting approval based on the conditions till third occupancy is approved. Any opposition? Motion carries.
I have one question, please.
Yes, sir.
The plant will be large enough to handle 5 additional buildings?
Good. That's a facing issue between you and the state health department.
Work that out.
No problem.
You got a plant. You meet the code.
Thank you.
I think building official explained that very clearly.
All right. No other items? We're adjourned. We will convene in 10 minutes for the zoning commission meeting.